Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of the latest episode of South Park, Put It Down. And I really enjoyed this episode a lot more than the season premiere. I think that this one actually would have been a better season premiere since everything worked very well together, all the story plots synced up very nicely, and the jokes just rolled very well. So, we start off and we see the PC principal in the theater saying, alright, we got a performance by one of our students, written a song about his feelings about the current political climate. And then we get Tweek coming on stage, and he gets up to the piano and starts banging and screaming about how North Korea wants to kill us and bomb us. And it was just so great because you see like the perfect calm first, and then you see him going completely and utterly shit crazy because he is so terrified that North Korea will bomb and kill everybody. And we then get a cut to like the students watching, and then you can see, if you like pause it, some students looking at each other like, the fuck is going on? And it was just great in its insanity. Because then, after it was done, BC's principal's like, oh, alright, here's another student singing her own rendition of The Wheels on the Bus. And she's crying as she's doing it because she was freaked out by Tweek. So, of course, then we get to the cafeteria and we see the boys talking. Cartman's like, dude, Craig, you gotta do something about Tweek. He's gotta get a hold of himself. He's freaking everybody out. And he's like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, he's your boyfriend, dude. And he's like, he doesn't listen to me. Never does when he's emotional. And, of course, then Cartman's got to get on his shtick and say his stuff since he's had a relationship. He's like, let me tell you about relationships, okay? If you don't have fucking balls, you're not getting anywhere. And it doesn't matter if they're gay balls or straight balls. It's like, Cartman, oh God, you make some sense, but then you're like, okay. You didn't really have a very good relationship since you broke up with her. Which, of course, was not the true end, because he's saying all this stuff like, if you don't get control of your relationship, and of course, right as he's about to say that, Heidi comes up in the background saying, hey babe, and then of course we see Cartman's face that happens whenever Heidi gets involved, like, it's really hard to describe. It's like the no shit, it's like the completely annoyed face that you get when you're talking about something you really don't want to talk about, or someone you don't really want to talk to. And he's like, oh, okay, hey babe, what's going on? And she's like, you're still up for recess later? He's like, yep, I'll be there, love you babe. And then Butters like says, I thought you broke up with her. And he's like, well, I decided to give her one more chance. And then Token's like, but she was mentally abused to you. And she's like, oh yeah, she still is. And then everyone's like, why would you take her back? Because she said she was going to kill herself. And I'm like, alright guys, there. I broke up with her. She called me. She said, I can't live without you. Scared what to do with myself. I'm like, oh God, bitch is crazy. What am I supposed to do? And it's like, there's gotta be more to this than that. Because Cartman always spins it to himself. So it's like, okay. Then we get to Tweek, being nervous. Craig says his name. He's like, ah! And he's like, dude, you have to settle down. And you gotta stop overreacting. And he's like, then of course the cell phone is pinging and everything. And he's like, oh God, the president just tweeted. And of course he's like, North Korea doesn't have the guts to attack us. And what makes him say that? Why does he want to make everything worse? And just, they did a really good job of doing President Garrison doing the tweets like Trump. They didn't overplay it. And they actually worked it really well throughout the episode, in my opinion, and actually kind of bringing it kind of full circle at the end. So, of course, that becomes a big thing, and he's trying to figure out how to help Tweek. He's like, all right, why don't you do something about it? He's like, what can I do? Write a letter to your congressman. That's not going to do anything. Let's see. Why don't you write a letter to North Korea? It's like, I don't know how to write in Korean. Alright. I'm trying to make you feel better. How about you make them croissants or something? Well, what do you know how to make? Cupcakes. It's like, alright, why don't you make them cupcakes and send them cupcakes to North Korea? And it's like, okay, that's an interesting idea. Let's kind of see where this goes. So then we see Stan kind of in his locker, and Heidi comes up and says, like, can I talk to you? is everything okay with Cartman? Like, with Eric, you mean Cartman? Yeah, I guess. Just want to make sure he's alright. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't know if I should tell you this, but Eric said he was thinking about killing himself. It's like, okay, so she took him back. Because we pretty much have a handle on Heidi, at least at this moment, that she's not devious yet. She's usually been following a consistent kind of formula, so it's usually, if there's any kind of doubts, it would be thrown on Cartman. Now, granted, we don't have a full makeup of her character yet, but from what we've been seeing throughout the past season and what we've been seeing so far, we'd be more disposed to believe what Heidi's saying over what Cartman's saying. So, of course, he's like, really? What the hell? He called saying that he wanted, that, he was going to kill himself and that she was really scared that he was going to do it, and that's why they're back together. And she's like, I can send you the voicemail if you promise to keep it private. And Stan's like, totally. And, of course, that was complete utter bullshit. And it cuts to us, of course, seeing the boys in the bathroom, all circled around, listening to Cartman saying that he was going to kill himself if they didn't get back together. And this kind of makes sense in Cartman's kind of, like, own way. It's his way of getting control back into the relationship. It's almost like a soft reset, if you will. Because Cartman saw that Heidi had more control in the relationship than he wanted to give her. And so he had to kind of, like, break it off and then kind of put it into a thing where, like, Heidi's doing him a favor and she has to follow what he's doing. Otherwise, he will kill himself. Classic Cartman tactic. Classic manipulation. So, of course, while they're listening to this, we see Cartman is also there with his arms crossed, and it's like acting shitty about it. It's like you can tell that that was his kind of goal to get it together, and of course the guys are making fun of him about it. And Kyle's like, you sound like a dying pig. I'm like, God damn it. Kyle just knows how to burn Cartman so well sometimes. It's like, holy shit. And, of course, Cartman is just thinking of how to kind of rectify the situation. Now we get to see the North Korean capital, and we see Kim Jong-un kind of like looking at stuff, and we see a dude bringing cupcakes, and then he looks at it, and, of course, then we cut to Cartman going into PC Principal's office, and pretty much wants help to make the school take suicide more seriously and all that. But, of course, this week it is Distracted Driving Week, so it's for the awareness of distracted driving and what that entails. So he's like, I don't know about that. And he's like, it'll be a hard time to kind of like do both of it and all that. He's like, He's not really given that much to Cartman on it. It was kind of interesting. And of course, he's trying to like upheal him like someone's life's at stake. And he's like, if I have to compete with distracted driving, then that's what I'm going to do. So, of course, it's like, okay, Cartman's going to have to fight the people talking about distracted driving. We're going to have to see how that goes. So, of course, Tweek is in the kitchen, and it's all a mess for making the cupcakes, and this was really pretty funny, and you almost really need to, like, pause it and scroll through what's going on, because he's on his phone looking like, North Korea, 100% nuclear ready, CNN, like, able to reach your town, and it's like got all this stuff, like all these articles talking about like, hey, how to avoid nukes, maybe Arkansas, East Coast would be okay, like how to prepare, duck and cover, Iowa, there's a lot of room in Iowa, you can move there, but the thing is you can't hide from radiation and all that, so ducking and cover doesn't make a bit of difference. And then he saw that North Korea was delighted by the cupcakes. He's like, oh, yeah, and the hearts of millions of citizens were like touched by it, and we see the news videos talking about Tweek and all that. And they're like, oh, okay, this should work. All right. And, of course, this has had Kim Jong-un to make cupcakes of his own. And it was interesting seeing those pictures going up. And then, of course, the cell phone pings. And we see that the President Garrison has responded with, of course, his own tweet. And he's like, I know that kid Tweek. He's fucking with you, North Korea. Get a clue. I bet he took a dump in the batter, and it's like, just seeing him completely just destroy what Tweek was trying to do and see him freak, and Craig come in trying to calm him down, like, why would he do that? What is going on with that? And then, of course, Craig is trying to use a fidget spinner to calm him down. And I liked that they didn't overplay the fidget spinners too much. they were trying to use it to calm down Tweek, and of course it doesn't do anything. It's just a fidget spinner. It's just a thing that you spin. I mean, yeah, it can calm some people down, but like Tweek's in such fucking death mode that everybody's gonna die that a fidget spinner isn't gonna help that much. So of course they're going through all that. Garrison just keeps tweeting and everything, pretty much making it worse. Tweek's just screaming and just dying of what's going on because everything he tries to do and everything he tries to get any modicum of control over, each tweet just completely and utterly fucks with his head on that. So, of course, then we go back to school and we see the distracted driving thing, and he's like, oh, okay, they're handing out pamphlets and everything, got a kid on a recorder, they're doing their merry thing, and then Cartman comes in and does his song about suicide, pretty much making it all about himself. Pretty much threatening to kill himself if people don't, like, try and stop him to kill himself. And just seeing him go through, like, that rap number and everything was just pretty funny. It's just like, oh God, you seriously think this will help you, man? Oh God. And then, of course, he's like, okay, distracted driving my asshole, and then drops the mic in front of him, and then just walks off with that grin on his face, like, God damn it, Cartman. But that's why we love his ass. So, of course, then we get to Tweek using the fidget spinners. That's like, hey, how you doing, man? How's this fidget spinner working out? You seem a little bit less anxious. Okay. And he's just, here's a loud blast in the distance. And, of course, North Korea took the stuff kind of pretty seriously with what Garrison was tweeting. And they fired a missile over Tweek's house. Kind of fitting a little bit with, like, North Korea launching missiles over Japan and all that, except really shrunk down and somehow firing missiles over Tweek's house. It was just like, they did a good job of just like kind of escalating it and just making Tweek screech out and freak out because they showed the missile with like the North Korean markings and it's like, holy shit. And he's like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And of course they go on the TV just talking about it. And of course North Korea is talking about how this is victory for their people, and since the missile was fired over Tweek's house, and Garrison just keeps making it worse and worse, and saying that Tweek's not scared, and all this kind of stuff, egging him on, and he's like, oh my God. And his dad's trying to calm him down and say, use the fidget spinner and everything. It's like, that's not working. It's just making it worse. Ah! And then, of course, we cut to a couple in a car. And it's like, okay, so this is going to be with the distracted driving. So they're, of course, looking at the phone and figuring out what's going on with the presidential tweets. That's where it kind of hooks back together. And it's like, oh my God, they're distracted because they keep having to check on what the president is tweeting about. So, of course, they're not looking where they're going, and they run over a innocent child. And it's one of the dudes that was talking about distracted driving. So, of course, we go back to the school, everybody's mourning and everything, got their candles, and Cartman thinks it's about him. And, of course, they tell him about the kid that died. And, of course, Cartman's pissed off, telling Kenny, you never cared about that kid. So he goes off to the PC principal. He's, like, laying out this elaborate plan. And he's like, listen, I need more than what I got. I need an orchestra. I need all these things. I need doves and all that. And he's like, I can get you 2 volunteers and a pigeon. I just love how the PC principal has moved to this area of kind of zen, where it's like, fine, I just need to indulge him a little bit, be like, alright, this is what I can give you. Otherwise, fuck off. And of course, Cartman's like, getting pissed off about it and just trying to figure out how to turn this situation back to himself rather than, of course, the kid that died in the distracted driving. And he's like, maybe I'll take the streets. And he's like, maybe you should. Maybe I will. Maybe you should. And it's like, oh God. So, of course, then we see Greg asleep. And Tweek runs in, this is pretty funny how this happens. Tweek comes in, he turns on the lights, gets up close to Craig, and then screams. Like there's this preparation that he needed to get it just right with the phone and everything, talking about what the president tweeted. Greg's like, what time is it? Jesus. And it's like, just making it worse. Just wanting, pretty much daring him for a nuclear strike and everything. And Of course, we see more stuff with North Korea, and they've got a diagram of Tweek's house of, like, where to hit, and it was just, like, so funny to see that. And just seeing him and being like, North Korea's out to get me now. And Greg's just like, okay, you're not thinking logically. North Korea's not going to attack anyone. They're not going to start a war they can't win. And it's like, okay. He's like, you got to stop thinking about it. Okay, that's it. We're going to take you somewhere fun. We'll get your mind off of it. Now we get to Cartman and Heidi standing outside in front of a store and pretty much doing their suicide prevention awareness stuff. But, of course, it's just supposed to be focused on Cartman. And Heidi's like, well, we're doing a pretty good job because all these other kids are reaching out because they want help with the same problem you've got. He's like, oh, you've been talking to other kids with this, and just, of course, turning it back on him and making her the problem, listening to all these people, and it was just so funny to see him go for that. That once they're doing all that, we get another distracted driver person, and, of course, right in front of the store, they take out another kid. It's like, sweet Jesus. Then we get to Craig and Tweek at an amusement park. And, of course, he's like, okay, what ride do you want to go on? He's like, okay, all right, well, we'll go on the Ferris wheel. And, of course, they're going on the Ferris wheel, and they're thinking they're having a lovely time and everything. And the cell phone chimes again, talking about another presidential tweet, pretty much explicitly stating where Tweek was, at an amusement park in Colorado. And Tweek's thinking, they're going to hit me here. They're going to take my ass out. And, of course, he's freaking, and as we see, the distracted driving just getting even worse, even in an amusement park. We see a ride that is on rails, and they go off the rails and start taking out 2 kids. Bumper cars start taking out 5 kids, and then the amusement park is just in mass panic at this point because distracted drivers are killing kids. It just gets to an insane point that really just shows what the fuck's going on with, like, the presidential tweets and people not, like, taking their devices away when they're driving and just be like, oh my god. So, of course, we get to Tweek and Greg, like, talking about everything. Everybody's running in hysteria. He's like, I don't know how to help you. I don't know what to do to make you feel better. And it's like, you saying facts and everything and problem solve for this isn't what I need you to do. And, of course, Greg gets pissed off at that and be like, damn it, now you've made me lose control of my emotions, and then he just walks off. So, of course, then we get to school, we see the cafeteria and the boys, like, hey, Craig, how's Tweek doing? And he's like, we didn't see him at school today. And he's like, I don't know what to do, guys. He just wants to overreact. That's fine. So then we see some more distracted driver kids talking about how there's going to be a memorial with, like, grief counselors and all that, and doing their own thing. And, of course, Cartman has to come up and do his shit and say, oh, well, I'm going to have a potluck at 7:30 in the gym where there's going to be games and all that kind of stuff. And what are you going to have? Oh, guest speakers, grievance counselors. Oh, that sounds really fun. Okay. If you come, I might actually kill myself in front of you guys. So, see you all tomorrow. And, of course, Heidi's like, comes up, like, takes his mic and says, Eric, this needs to stop. This is important. This is a memorial service, with speeches and crying. And he's like, what's that going to solve? It's not about problem solving. People, like, getting together and feeling what they need to feel. Sometimes that, like, the best thing isn't always quick answers. And then we see focus on Greg as Greg understands what Heidi's trying to say. Like, sometimes you need to go through your feelings and understand what is going on with them. And Greg wasn't doing that with Tweek. So, of course, it's cool to see that light go off and him go off to do that. Gets to Tweek. He's like, we meet in that kind of later, and we've seen, like, that, oh, geez. He, like, goes off, meets with Tweek, and is like, okay, that's going to be pretty good. So we see Heidi and Cartman kind of dealing with that. He's like, he just gets pissed off at her and kind of, like, goes off, and Heidi's running after him. So then we see Tweek in bed, and, like, Craig comes in, kind of like, what's going on? How's it going? And he's like, all right, how are you thinking? What's going on? He's like, nothing better. Nothing's making me feel better of what's going on. I'm scared. I'm alone. I feel horrible. It's hard to even kind of, like, think. And he's like, what else are you feeling? I have no control over my life. I'm just a pawn in a big game. He's like, wow, that's a terrifying thought. Feeling trapped and completely unable to even move. He's like, wow. There's no solution. What are you going to do? What can you do? He's like, I don't know. How about you find find something that you can be in charge of? He's like, oh, sounds insurmountable, but okay. And he's like, I get it. He gets an idea, Tweek gets an idea, he's like, alright, and they smile at each other. He's like, alright, I think I got it. People aren't focused on doing the right thing. I know what I should do. So of course we get the PC principal, and he's like, alright, we're back in the theater. We got a student tonight. He's got a song, very important issue, and of course it's all the parents there in the crowd. And we get Tweek up on the piano, and it's very different than the first time. He's not pounding and screaming. Him and Greg just go into this musical number about people dying and it's our fault. And it's really cool how it turns around to being the distracted driving because of the presidential tweets and telling him to put it down and wrapping it up with the episode title, putting down the phone and everything, where people make the pledge that if they become the president, they will put down their cell phones and not tweet. So that way people were like, oh God, what's going on and what is this person thinking? It was just a really cool idea, and they did a really good job with the song and everything and going to different people and even focusing on Hillary and having someone say, no one cares, and it was just really good. And then Cartman, of course, has to come in, put in his suicide prevention kind of thing, saying, I'll rip out my guts without any hesitation and everything, and everybody's just looking at him like, excuse me? Because, of course, then we see all the role of all the kids being killed by the distracted driving, and it was just like, okay, that's pretty cool. And, of course, we see Tweek and Greg holding hands and smiling at the end, and then Cartman's like, hey, I decided not to do it, guys. Just, of course, having to completely make it out himself at the end. So, I really enjoyed this episode because it all worked and tied well together, especially with the presidential tweets and the distracted driving the main narrative. And then, of course, with a good amount of focus on wrapping Cartman into that narrative and still wrapping his relationship into that. And this is an interesting direction of him trying to kind of control the relationship with Heidi still fighting to make it a kind of actual normal relationship. So that's a big thread that I'm really interested to see how they're going to carry through and what's going to happen with that. And if Cartman ultimately wins, because if you look at it, this is almost one of his greatest challenges that he's going to have to go through within manipulation. And it'll be interesting to see if he really wins or if he's going to lose out and actually he will still be himself but somehow have to act normal with Heidi and kind of have a normal relationship going forward. And that's the biggest part that I'm really interested to see. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.